Hello there, and welcome to AtlasExplore. Tonight, we drift together into the ever-changing world of weather, the quiet heartbeat of our planet. Above you stretches not an empty sky, but a living ocean of air. It breathes, it sings, it stirs with invisible tides of warmth and light. Each breeze, each drifting cloud, is a whisper from the cosmos, reminding us that even the air we touch is ancient, born from starlight, tempered by time. So let yourself settle. Let your shoulders soften, your breath slow, and your thoughts drift like mist across an endless horizon. Feel the pulse of the atmosphere, gentle yet eternal, connecting mountains and seas, deserts and dreams. Tonight is not about forecasts or storms to fear. It is about wonder, the poetry of lightning, the patience of rain, the stillness before dawn. There is nothing you need to do now but rest. Listen, breathe, and let the sky tell its story. One soft cloud, one timeless current, at a time. Look up, what seems soft and weightless above you. That drifting cloud, that gentle puff of white, is in truth a floating mountain. A single cumulus cloud can weigh more than 1,000,000 elephants. Hidden within its luminous folds are countless droplets, each smaller than the width of a hair, suspended by the warm air rising from the earth below. Together they form a cathedral of vapor glowing softly in the sunlight. And yet, despite its weight, it floats, as if the sky itself has learned the secret art of balance. To watch a cloud drift across the heavens is to glimpse the universe playing with paradox. The immense made gentle, the heavy made light. Every cloud is born from transformation, water turning to vapor, vapor to air, air to wind. The same molecules that once formed ancient seas now pass above you, reshaping into endless new forms. To understand clouds is to understand that nothing ever truly disappears. It only changes state, forever part of Earth's breathing cycle. And sometimes, within that breath, light decides to speak. Lightning is one of the most dramatic ways the sky reminds us of its power. A jagged scar of light, tearing the darkness, hotter than the surface of the sun itself. In a single blink, temperatures soar to 30,000 degrees Celsius. The air around the bolt explodes into plasma, a momentary fire born from friction between clouds and ground. We often think of lightning as anger, but in truth, it is balance. Nature's way of releasing tension built up between earth and sky. A reminder that even chaos has purpose, that even storms seek equilibrium. Then comes thunder, the voice of the flash. It rolls across the landscape like the echo of creation itself, deep and resonant. That sound is the cry of air expanding faster than it can escape, bursting outward with the force of an unseen drum. If you listen closely, you'll notice that thunder never sounds the same twice. Sometimes a single sharp crack, sometimes a long rumble that fades into silence. It is the weather's heartbeat, proof that the atmosphere is alive, restless, and aware. When the rain finally falls, it carries with it the geometry of perfection. Raindrops are not shaped like tears, as we so often draw them. The smallest are near spherical, held tight by surface tension. As they grow, air pressure flattens their bottoms, turning them into tiny transparent domes, more like shimmering pancakes than falling pearls. The air sculpts each one as it descends, and when they grow too large, they break apart, returning to mist before reaching the ground. Each drop is a transient sculpture, formed by the invisible hands of gravity and wind. When you stand in the rain, you are surrounded by billions of these short-lived wonders, each one a perfect reflection of nature's design. And then, the scent. Subtle at first, then unmistakable. The perfume of rain on dry earth has a name, petrichor. It arises when raindrops strike the waiting soil, releasing tiny bursts of oils that plants have stored during long dry days. Microbes called actinomycetes add their own note, geosmin, the earthy fragrance we instinctively associate with freshness and renewal. During storms, lightning splits oxygen and nitrogen, creating ozone that adds a sharp, clean edge to the air. What you breathe after the first rain is more than just moisture. It is a symphony of ancient chemistry. The oils of forgotten plants, the exhalation of the earth, and the electric breath of the sky, all mingling into one scent. The smell of the planet remembering itself. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing barefoot on wet ground, feeling the cool mist settle on your skin. Above you, clouds drift, vast, heavy, alive, yet somehow lighter than thought. Lightning flashes somewhere far away. Thunder follows like a slow, rolling heartbeat. The air smells of beginnings. This is weather at its gentlest and most profound. Not just a science, but a kind of meditation. A reminder that even the smallest raindrop carries the wisdom of the cosmos. When the air grows still and the world turns white, the atmosphere enters one of its quietest forms of transformation. Snow is not just frozen rain, it is geometry made visible, a moment where water decides to express its beauty through symmetry. Each snowflake begins as a single dust particle drifting through a cold cloud. Around it, vapor gathers and crystallizes, atom by atom, forming 6 delicate arms that mirror each other with impossible precision. Yet no two flakes are ever truly identical. Temperature, humidity, and wind all sculpt their shapes differently. Some sharp as stars, others soft as feathers. Even their journey downwards changes them. Flakes swirl, collide, and melt ever so slightly, altering the design as they fall. They do not all descend at the same pace. Tiny, simple flakes flutter slowly, dancing on invisible air currents. Heavier, intricate ones drift faster, spinning as they go. A single snowflake may take a full minute to reach the ground, a long, graceful descent through silence. Watching one fall is like seeing time itself slow down, each flake a messenger from the clouds, carrying the frozen memory of air. And sometimes, the sky grows generous. Snowflakes fuse together, forming clusters as wide as a coin, even as large as a dinner plate. They land with a faint whisper, soft enough to absorb sound. Step outside in a heavy snowfall and notice the hush, how the world seems muted, like someone has wrapped it in a blanket. That silence is real. Snow traps sound within its tiny crystal chambers, turning even the busiest street into a cathedral of stillness. But snow can also awaken its wilder twin, the blizzard. In a blizzard, the wind no longer allows snow to fall. It whirls it sideways, lifting it from the ground and spinning it through the air. Visibility drops until the horizon disappears, and even your own hands seem to vanish in the white. The air stings, the light diffuses, and direction loses meaning. It is both beautiful and humbling, a reminder that weather is not gentle by nature, only indifferent. Inside the heart of such storms, ice becomes a sculptor, reshaping landscapes overnight. Fences, trees, and roofs gain strange new skins of frost. Each gust writes its own story across the drifts. In other corners of the world, where warmth and cold clash, a different form of frozen wonder is born. Hail. Hailstones begin as tiny droplets caught inside a thunderstorm's violent updrafts. Instead of falling to earth, they are thrown back upward into colder layers of air. There, they freeze, only to be lifted again and again by turbulent winds, collecting new coats of water that freeze in concentric shells. Each journey through the cloud adds another layer, until the hailstone becomes a miniature time capsule, a sphere of frozen history, layer upon layer like an onion, recording each heartbeat of the storm. When the hail finally grows too heavy for the wind to carry, it falls, tumbling through the sky like a crystal bullet. Most are small, the size of peas or marbles, but sometimes nature tests its own limits. In South Dakota, A hailstone once fell that was nearly the size of a volleyball, weighing almost a kilogram. Imagine the power required to hold such a stone aloft. Inside it were dozens of frozen rings, proof of the storm's persistence and fury. If you could slice it open, you would see its story written in ice, a core born from the first spark of condensation, surrounded by countless layers of frozen water, each one marking a return to the heights before another plunge toward Earth. It is a reminder that even destruction can hide a strange kind of artistry. When hailstones strike the ground, they often shatter, scattering fragments that glisten like gemstones before melting away. For a moment, the world sparkles as though a storm has sprinkled diamonds over the Earth, jewels that vanish as quickly as they appeared. Yet beyond their coldness, there is a profound stillness in these frozen miracles. Snow, frost, hail, all are simply water, taking form to remind us of impermanence. They show us how the same element that nourishes rivers can sculpt mountains, how gentleness and power coexist in one essence. In the deep hush of winter, when the air smells faintly of ice and the breath rises in clouds, try to listen. The planet speaks softly through its frost. Every crystal, every frozen drop, is a syllable in that whisper, a hymn to the cycle of transformation. For beneath the chill lies warmth, not of fire, but of connection. The snow that melts into rivers will rise again as clouds, will fall again as rain. And one day, perhaps on another continent, under another sun, will become snow once more. The dance of ice and vapor never ends. It only changes rhythm. So when you see a snowflake land on your sleeve, fragile and fleeting, know that you're holding a piece of eternity, a tiny, frozen breath of the living sky. There are moments when the sky forgets its gentleness, when the calm ocean of air we breathe becomes a force so fierce it can twist the very skin of the earth. In those moments, we meet the wild spirit of the wind. Wind begins in whispers, a difference in temperature, a subtle shift in pressure, and the air starts to move, first as a sigh across the grass, then as a current strong enough to shape clouds and carry seeds across continents. The same invisible stream that lifts a feather can, when magnified by chaos, become a spiral of unimaginable strength. And when that spiral touches the ground, it becomes a tornado, nature's sharpest breath. A tornado is born from instability. Warm, humid air rising to meet cool, dry air descending, twisting into a column that spins faster than thought. In the heart of that rotation, pressure drops so low it can drive a blade of straw clean through solid wood. That is not legend. It is physics, proof of air's hidden violence. The tornado is the atmosphere's way of releasing tension, an immense exhale that sculpts destruction into art. The winds inside can exceed 500 kilometers per hour, faster than the cruising speed of a jet. At those velocities, the world becomes liquid. Metal bends, trees twist into ribbons. The ground itself seems to ripple. Yet amid the chaos, there is order, an elegant geometry, a perfect spiral built by invisible equations. Scientists chase these storms not out of morbid curiosity, but awe. They want to understand how something so brutal can also be so exquisitely precise. If tornadoes are the quick, violent breath of the earth, then hurricanes are its long, unbroken song. A hurricane begins as a simple cluster of storms drifting over warm ocean water. The heat fuels evaporation, and rising vapor feeds the spinning air, drawing in more moisture, more motion, more life. Soon, the system organizes itself into a living engine, a colossal, breathing vortex, hundreds of kilometers wide. It feeds on warmth and exhales wind, its spiraling arms wrapping around entire coastlines. In a single day, a hurricane releases more energy than all of the world's power plants combined. Each gust, Each crashing wave is the sound of heat transforming into motion, the ocean's stored sunlight coming alive. The scale is almost beyond comprehension. Satellites capture these storms from orbit, their whirls of cloud glowing like galaxies in miniature, luminous and terrible. And yet, at the very center of the chaos lies peace. The eye of the hurricane, a perfect circle of calm, floats like a mirror between two realms. Inside, the air is still, the sky often clear. You could stand there and see sunlight, while walls of fury tower around you. The boundary between the eye and the eye wall is razor thin. A step in any direction brings you from serenity into violence. It is as if nature has placed silence inside the storm to remind us that balance can exist even in destruction. All around the world, the wind writes its own stories. In the tropics, the monsoon breathes in rhythm with the seasons. When the land grows hot and the sea remains cool, air rushes inward from the ocean, heavy with moisture, drenching fields and forests in rain. For millions of people, the monsoon is not simply weather, it is life itself. It dictates harvests, migrations, and myths. Ancient civilizations rose and fell with its rhythm. Temples were built to honor its arrival. Prayers offered to hasten or delay it. The monsoon is the pulse of Asia, the sound of an entire continent inhaling and exhaling. But where some lands drown in rain, others forget what water feels like. In northern Chile lies the Atacama Desert, a landscape so barren, so silent, that some valleys have not seen rain for decades. Scientists come here to study Mars, for even the red planet is not much drier. Yet beneath its cracked salt plains and windswept stones, the air holds a faint trace of moisture, a whisper of clouds that never form. In the Atacama, weather exists in theory, a promise the sky rarely keeps. And still, life persists. Microscopic algae, ghostly lichens, even small foxes. They live on fog alone, drawing their water from the breath of dawn. It is the planet's quiet lesson in endurance. And then, on the other side of the world, there is Mawsynram, a small village tucked into the hills of northeastern India, where the sky remembers every drop the Atacama has forgotten. Here, clouds gather endlessly, pressed upward by green mountains that touch the monsoon winds. Rain falls for months, thick and unrelenting. Roofs are made of grass because tin would roar too loudly. Children grow up knowing no day without drizzle, and rivers overflow like veins of silver across the land. The air smells of life, and every leaf glows with the sheen of constant renewal. From the driest desert to the wettest jungle, from the stillness of a monsoon dusk to the roar of a typhoon, wind and water weave the same story of balance, of motion, of eternal return. Wind does not hate or love, it simply moves, sculpting the surface of the world the way time sculpts memory. A storm may level a city, yet that same air will one day lift a bird, carry pollen, and cool a sleeping child. It reminds us that power and gentleness are not opposites, but phases of the same breath. So the next time the wind touches your face, pause for a moment. Feel its journey, how it may have once passed over oceans, deserts, and mountains before finding you. Somewhere, that same wind once danced through a hurricane's eye, whirled through the canyons of a monsoon, or whispered through the sands of the Atacama. It has seen destruction, creation, stillness, and grace, and now it rests, softly, against your skin. That is the story of the storm, not of violence, but of continuity. For in the end, the wind, like us, is only trying to find its way home. From one corner of the planet to another, Earth tells its most powerful stories through temperature. It sculpts deserts and glaciers, births life and erases it, all through the invisible measure of heat. The atmosphere, though delicate and thin, can cradle extremes that seem to defy the limits of survival. In the American West lies a valley that has earned its name in full, Death Valley. It is not a metaphor but a fact. A hollow basin where heat settles and refuses to leave. In July of 1913, the air itself became fire. The thermometer reached 56.7 degrees Celsius, the highest temperature ever recorded on Earth. At that heat, the horizon bends and trembles. The ground shimmers like liquid glass. Touch a metal handle, and it burns. Asphalt softens, car tires can melt, and every breath feels heavy, as if the air itself weighs more than your body can bear. Death Valley's silence is deceptive. Beneath the calm, the rocks radiate stored sunlight. Every grain of sand glows with memory. It is a place where even shade is a luxury, and the night offers no true coolness. Yet here too, life endures. Lizards dart across burning stones, tiny flowers bloom after rare rains, and ravens glide on thermal updrafts, masters of the furnace sky. The valley teaches resilience, not through abundance, but through adaptation. Far to the south, the Earth tells the opposite story, one of endless cold. On the high plateau of Antarctica, at the remote outpost of Vostok Station, the air itself can slice like glass. In 1983, instruments there recorded a temperature of 89.2 degrees Celsius, cold enough to make steel brittle and air turn solid with frost. Breath freezes mid-air, falling as crystals that sparkle in the dim light. More recent satellite data suggests nearby hollows may reach 98 degrees Celsius, the coldest natural temperature our planet has ever known. In such a place, sound seems swallowed by distance, and the horizon is a mirror of white on white. Machinery must be heated from within. Engines groan like living things resisting death. Human skin, exposed for even a few seconds, can freeze solid, a slow, silent fire of ice. The world feels ancient there, untouched by time, as though Earth is remembering its own beginning. And yet, even here, weather moves. The faint whisper of wind, the slow drift of snow, the ever-changing dance of light across frozen plains. Between these two extremes, the furnace of Death Valley and the frozen silence of Vostok, lies a spectrum of wonders that show both the gentleness and danger of air. One of the most insidious of these forces is the heat wave. Unlike a storm, it announces itself quietly. No thunder, no flash, only stillness. The sun lingers too long, the wind ceases to move, and heat begins to accumulate like an invisible tide. Asphalt drinks it in, concrete radiates it back. Cities transform into ovens, their walls holding the day's fire deep into the night. The body begins to falter. Sweat ceases to cool. The pulse quickens. Thoughts grow slow and disoriented. Around the world, heat waves claim more lives than any other weather event. Their violence is invisible, found not in headlines, but in statistics, in hospital corridors, in the quiet exhaustion of the elderly and the poor. While floods roar and storms announce their arrival, heat kills in whispers, unhurried but relentless. And then, as if to balance the scale, there comes fog, a form of weather made not of fury, but of forgetfulness. Fog is a cloud that has descended to earth, blurring the line between heaven and ground. It wraps the world in softness, turning sharp edges into ghostly outlines. In dense fog, even your own hands seem to vanish before your eyes. The world contracts into a small circle of visibility. Sound becomes muffled, as though wrapped in cotton. To walk through thick fog is to move inside a dream. Everything slows. The ordinary becomes ethereal. Streetlights bloom into halos, footsteps echo as if underwater, and your breath seems to shape the air itself. But this gentleness hides danger. Planes are grounded. Ships crawl through harbors, guided only by faint horns, and drivers creep along roads they can no longer see. Fog, like time, erases detail but reveals essence, a meditation of moisture and silence. In places where rain rarely falls, dew becomes the savior. As night descends upon deserts, the sand releases its heat into the sky, cooling rapidly. Moisture in the air, however scarce, condenses on stones and cactus spines, forming tiny pearls of water by dawn. This quiet miracle sustains life where no rain may fall for months. Beetles tilt their shells toward the morning breeze, letting droplets run into their mouths. Plants guide the dew down toward their roots through grooves in their stems. Even humans have learned to harvest it, stretching nets to catch the faint sigh of water before sunrise. Dew is desert rain told in whispers, proof that nature provides, even when the sky forgets to. And when the air grows colder still, dew transforms into something crystalline, frost. On certain mornings, the world wakes coated in lace. Ice filigree spreads across glass, leaves, and grass blades, each pattern unique and fleeting. In the high mountains or polar plateaus, frost can grow into forests of ice called hoarfrost. These shimmering structures reach upward like glass cathedrals, catching the first rays of light and scattering them into rainbows. Each spike forms as water vapor skips its liquid stage, freezing directly into solid beauty. To step into such a world is to enter a sculpture garden made by breath and silence. But touch one crystal, and it shatters instantly, a reminder that even beauty that feels eternal is fragile beyond measure. Then there is freezing rain, or the ice storm, weather's dangerous paradox. Rain falls through a layer of warm air before passing into a sheet of freezing cold near the ground. Each drop hits surfaces still below zero and turns to glass. Trees bow beneath the sudden weight, power lines snap, roads transform into mirrors of peril. Yet when the sun rises, the destruction gleams with uncanny beauty. Entire cities encased in crystal, every branch and wire glowing like frozen fire. To witness an ice storm at dawn is to see the world caught between life and stillness. The wind dares not breathe. Every sound becomes music, every motion shatters light. From the hottest deserts to the coldest polar plateaus, from the killing heat waves to the frozen art of frost, these extremes tell one story: the balance of our living planet. Heat and cold are not enemies but partners, two dancers shaping the rhythm of life. One expands, one contracts. One gives energy, the other preserves it. Between them lies the fragile zone, where we exist, where rain can fall, rivers flow, and breath finds comfort. We live suspended between fire and ice, between the sun's fierce generosity and the quiet mercy of snow. And in that narrow space, trembling, luminous, alive, the miracle of weather continues to breathe. The sky is not empty. It is a restless ocean of air, filled with invisible currents, whirlpools, and tides that never sleep. Even on the calmest day, the atmosphere is in motion, twisting, lifting, sinking, colliding. Every breeze we feel at our skin is a small echo of greater forces that shape continents and carry stories from one hemisphere to another. Sometimes, these forces reveal themselves in miniature, a spectacle so fleeting you might miss it if you blink. On a sun-scorched plain, when the ground grows hotter than the air above it, small spirals of wind begin to rise. At first, they seem harmless, wisps of dust dancing in lazy circles. But then the column strengthens, spinning faster, stretching higher, until it towers like a living spirit of the desert. These are dust devils, small tornadoes of heat, some reaching heights taller than skyscrapers. They form when hot air rushes upward through cooler layers, twisting into a vertical vortex. Most last only a few minutes, scattering sand and leaves before fading into stillness. Yet in those brief moments, they mirror the same mechanics that drive the most powerful storms on Earth. Watching one from a distance, you can feel the pulse of the planet's breath. Playful, unpredictable, alive. Over the ocean, the same principle takes on a grander form. When warm, humid air spins above open water, it can descend into a rotating funnel that touches the surface of the sea. The result is both mesmerizing and fearsome. A waterspout. These watery tornadoes rise like translucent pillars, connecting sky and ocean in a single motion. Within them, spray and mist swirl at astonishing speed, catching the sunlight so that they shimmer like liquid glass. To sailors, waterspouts have always felt like portals, columns of energy linking two worlds. They can lift fish, seaweed, even droplets of foam high into the air, only to release them miles away. Yet they are fragile too. A single shift of wind and the spiral dissolves, leaving only ripples behind. Nature creates and erases with the same breath. But not all wind dances are graceful. Some fall from the sky like hammers. High above a thunderstorm, powerful downdrafts form, descending columns of air known as microbursts. In seconds, they plunge toward the ground at over 200 kilometers per hour, slamming into the surface and fanning outward with explosive force. To a pilot, a microburst is invisible death. The sudden downdraft can rob an aircraft of lift faster than human reflexes can respond. Many aviation tragedies have been born from this unseen force. And yet, even in this violence, there is structure. Each microburst is a perfect balance of heat, pressure, and motion. A pulse in the atmosphere's heartbeat. Scientists study them to learn how chaos organizes itself, how the sky breathes through collapse as well as ascent. Then there are the giants, the storms so vast they reshape the land beneath them. Among the most awe-inspiring are supercells. These are not ordinary thunderstorms, but self-sustaining machines of wind and lightning. A supercell can grow larger than an entire state, rotating around a deep, steady updraft, called a mesocyclone. Inside this colossal engine, air moves in every direction at once. Upward in one column, downward in another, spiraling around an eye of power. From their bellies are born tornadoes, hailstones the size of fists, and lightning that flickers like the pulse of the gods. To stand beneath a supercell is to stand beneath a living organism. Vast, breathing, indifferent. The clouds twist in slow motion, tinted green by the filtered light of the sun, and thunder rolls with the sound of continents shifting. Supercells are rare, but they are the architects of the world's most violent storms. They remind us that weather is not just something we endure. It is something that builds the planet, carving valleys, feeding rivers, and turning dust into soil. And when the atmosphere tires of its wildest dances, it rests, though even its rest is not silent. Across the plains and coasts of the world, thunderstorms gather each afternoon, born from heat and humidity. They may start with a whisper, a shimmer of rising air, but soon the sky thickens, darkens, and then speaks. Lightning forks downward, slicing the horizon. Thunder follows, echoing across hills like the memory of creation. Some of these storms last only a few minutes. Others endure for 12 hours or more, drifting across hundreds of kilometers. Inside them, raindrops are born, grow, collide, and fall. Billions of tiny worlds completing their cycle. The air turns cool, the light shifts to silver, and the scent of petrichor rises once again, that familiar fragrance of renewal. From dust devils to supercells, from gentle breezes to thunder's roar, the wind shows us that the atmosphere is not empty but inhabited, alive with intelligence older than language. It sculpts dunes, stirs oceans, and hums softly through forests. It erases and creates with equal grace. And as you listen to the wind tonight, whether it whispers at your window or sighs through distant trees, remember that it has traveled farther than you can imagine. The same molecules brushing your cheek once swept across deserts, spiraled through hurricanes, and circled the poles. Each gust carries the memory of every landscape it has ever touched. Close your eyes. Feel that movement. You are breathing the history of the planet, the breath of storms, the dust of vanished continents, the quiet rhythm of an atmosphere forever in motion. There are nights when the heavens refuse to sleep, when light itself becomes restless, dancing across the firmament in wild, electric joy. Thunder, lightning, auroras, and storms that flicker like living constellations. These are the moments when the atmosphere reveals its hidden charge, its shimmering soul of energy. In Venezuela, at the mouth of the Catatumbo River, there is a storm that never truly ends. Locals call it Relámpago del Catatumbo, the Catatumbo lightning. For centuries, it has flashed almost every night, sometimes more than 200 nights each year. The phenomenon begins when warm winds from the Caribbean collide with cool air descending from the Andes. The clash ignites the sky into a frenzy of light, as many as 250 strikes per hour, every one illuminating the clouds like celestial fireworks. Imagine standing there, on the marshy delta, beneath a horizon that never darkens. The air vibrates with silent electricity. The clouds glow from within, as if the stars had chosen to live among them. Sailors once used the Catatumbo storm as a natural lighthouse, guiding their ships home from hundreds of kilometers away. Scientists still study it, trying to understand why it persists while other storms fade. But to those who live nearby, it is something simpler. A pulse of the Earth itself, proof that the sky has a heartbeat. That pulse can be felt in smaller ways too, in the hum of charged particles that surround us. Humans have long sought to measure this invisible tension, to lift instruments into the air and capture its secrets. Early explorers tied instruments to kites, but today we send weather balloons, silent ambassadors of science, drifting far above the clouds. Each balloon rises higher and higher, carrying small packages of sensors that record temperature, humidity, pressure, and wind. They ascend through blue sky into the darkness of the stratosphere, climbing to altitudes higher than Mount Everest. Eventually, the air grows too thin. The balloon expands until it bursts, scattering data and silk-like fragments that drift gently back to Earth. For a few hours, that fragile sphere of latex has touched the edge of space, feeling the world's pulse from above. But not all observation comes from below. High above the Earth, thousands of weather satellites orbit silently, watching the ever-changing face of the atmosphere. They track the growth of hurricanes, measure sea temperatures, and even detect the faint glow of lightning strikes from space. To them, storms are art, swirling masterpieces of vapor and shadow. The satellite's eye never blinks, capturing every curl of cloud, every bloom of thunder. From that high vantage, Earth looks alive. Storms appear as breathing organisms, clouds swirl like white blood cells in a vast living body. The images they send back are not just data, they are poetry, the story of a planet dreaming in motion. Closer to the ground, another guardian watches, the Doppler radar. Unlike the human eye, radar sees through rain and darkness. It sends invisible pulses into the air, each one bouncing off raindrops, snowflakes, and even dust. From the time it takes for those signals to return, scientists can map the movement of storms, predicting their paths and saving lives. The Doppler radar can see rotation before a tornado forms, can track the heartbeat of rainfall, can measure how fast each droplet falls. It is the Earth's stethoscope, listening to the rhythm of the sky, translating its invisible murmurs into language we can understand. Yet, for all our instruments and sensors, there are still wonders we can only watch in awe. When solar winds brush against our magnetic field, the sky itself begins to shimmer. Curtains of light unfurl from the poles, green and violet ribbons that ripple across the night. These are the auroras, the northern and southern lights, the planet's own light show, created when charged particles from the sun collide with the upper atmosphere. To see an aurora is to witness the sky dreaming. The lights flow like rivers, twist like silk in an unseen breeze, and sometimes pulse in rhythm, as if responding to some cosmic heartbeat. In those moments, the boundary between Earth and space dissolves. The atmosphere becomes a living veil, translating solar fire into beauty. But the same solar energy that paints the auroras can also turn dangerous. From time to time, the sun releases solar storms, massive eruptions of plasma and magnetic fields that surge through the solar system. When these storms reach Earth, they can shake the magnetosphere, disrupt satellites, and even knock out power grids. In 1859, one such event, known as the Carrington event, lit up telegraph lines with sparks and sent auroras blazing as far south as the Caribbean. Modern technology has made us more vulnerable to such storms. A powerful solar flare today could blind satellites, confuse navigation systems, and darken entire cities. And yet, there is something humbling about remembering that our entire digital civilization depends on the mood of the sun, that the same light that warms our faces can also erase our signals in a blink. Even the quiet traces of human flight leave fingerprints in the sky. High above, where the air is cold and thin, airplanes carve pale lines across the blue contrails, short for condensation trails. They form when hot exhaust from jet engines meets freezing air, turning vapor into ice crystals that glint like tiny mirrors. Some vanish within minutes, others linger for hours, weaving patterns that slowly drift and merge, subtly reshaping the local weather. Contrails are reminders of how connected everything is, how even a single plane, flying for a few hours, can seed clouds, dim sunlight, and cool or warm a region by a fraction of a degree. The atmosphere remembers every motion, every breath, every spark, from the eternal lightning over Catatumbo to the flickering dance of auroras, from the fragile rise of a weather balloon to the silent gaze of satellites. The sky speaks a language of energy and motion. Lightning, wind, plasma, and light, all are part of a single conversation between Earth and space. And perhaps, when thunder rolls and the sky flashes white, what we are hearing is not anger, but communication. A dialogue between air and fire, between our small world and the vast unknown beyond it. The next time lightning splits the darkness, pause before you seek shelter. Feel the vibration in your chest, the way the air trembles before the sound reaches you. That is the voice of the planet, alive with electricity, the same current that moves through stars, through oceans, through us. We are not separate from the storm. We are part of its circuit, a brief spark in the endless dance of energy that binds heaven and earth. If air is the planet's breath, then water is its bloodstream, always moving, always transforming, carving valleys, feeding forests, and sometimes consuming everything in its path. The same element that sustains all life can, in an instant, become a force of absolute destruction. Few phenomena remind us of nature's duality as vividly as floods and droughts, two sides of the same trembling balance. In the mountains, far from cities and plains, storms gather quietly. They pour their weight into rivers and streams, swelling them with hidden strength. And then, without warning, the ground gives way. A wall of water rushes downward, carrying everything it touches: trees, boulders, even cars, all lifted, spun, and swallowed by the fury of a flash flood. It happens fast. In mere minutes, a dry ravine transforms into a roaring current. Water moves with a density greater than any storm wind. A surge just half a meter deep can knock an adult off their feet. A meter can carry away a vehicle. To witness it is to see gravity and chaos united, a wild, liquid avalanche. And yet, when the waters recede, they leave behind more than destruction. The soil glistens, reborn. Minerals carried from high mountains settle across plains, enriching the earth. Floods, terrifying as they are also the planet's way of renewing itself. The pulse between death and fertility. But when that pulse falters, another kind of silence emerges. The long, dry whisper of drought. Drought is absence given form. It begins quietly. Rains come a little later. Rivers shrink by inches. The color drains from leaves. Weeks turn to months, months to years, and the ground forgets how to drink. Cracks open across the earth like scars. Lakes shrink into pale mirrors of dust. The air grows thin and sharp, tasting of minerals and memory. In some regions, droughts stretch beyond human memory. Mega droughts that last for decades or even centuries. They reshape civilizations. The Mayan cities of Central America, once vibrant and rich, withered under skies that refused to rain. Crops failed, rivers dried, and people scattered like dust before the wind. In the American Southwest, tree rings tell a story of droughts so severe that entire forests stopped growing. Decades of silence carved into wood. To live through drought is to feel time slow down. The horizon remains bright but empty. The sun relentless. Yet even then, life persists. Seeds waiting in the soil. Cacti swelling with hidden reservoirs. Creatures burrowing deep beneath the surface to find traces of moisture. Drought, like winter, is not the end, but the pause, a test of patience in the grand cycle of renewal. Sometimes, though, the balance tips not through local weather, but through vast planetary rhythms. Deep within the Pacific Ocean lies one of Earth's most powerful patterns, the El Niño Southern Oscillation. Every few years, warm waters spread eastward along the equator, changing everything they touch. Rainforests flood, deserts bloom, coral reefs bleach white, and global temperatures rise. During El Niño, the ocean breathes heat upward, sending ripples of chaos through the climate system. Monsoons shift, hurricanes weaken in some places and grow in others. Fishermen off the coast of South America find their nets suddenly empty as the warm currents drive away the life-rich cold water that once sustained them. El Niño is not a storm, but a rearrangement, an invisible hand stirring the world's weather. Then, inevitably, comes its mirror, La Niña. When the trade winds strengthen, they push the warm waters back toward Asia, letting the deep, cold currents rise again along the South American coast. The result is global cooling, harsher winters, stronger hurricanes, rains returning to parched lands. Together, El Niño and La Niña form the planet's great pendulum, swinging heat and cold across the hemispheres in a rhythm older than humanity. It is not just air that moves in this rhythm. The oceans themselves are alive with currents, immense rivers of salt water flowing through the deep. Oceanographers call them currents, but that word hardly captures their power. They are the arteries of the Earth, carrying warmth from the tropics toward the poles and returning cold water back again. Without them, the climate would unravel, and the world would freeze in some regions while burning in others. These rivers of heat flow unseen, but their influence touches every shore. The most famous of them, the Gulf Stream, begins in the Gulf of Mexico, winding its way across the Atlantic like a great blue serpent. It brings mild winters to Europe, allowing gardens to bloom in London while Canada freezes under snow at the same latitude. The Gulf Stream is a miracle of motion, warm, steady, and constant. Yet it, too, is fragile. Changes in salinity and melting polar ice threaten to slow it, and scientists warn that if it falters, Europe's climate could shift dramatically. Weather, after all, is not local. It is one vast, interlinked system, a single breath shared by land and sea. At the opposite pole, another invisible force swirls, the polar vortex. It is a vast ring of cold air that spins high above the Arctic, containing the frozen heart of winter. Most years, it remains stable, circling the pole like a crown of wind. But sometimes, it weakens and breaks apart, sending icy tendrils southward. When this happens, the cold escapes, sweeping into North America, Europe, and Asia. Cities, unaccustomed to snow, awaken under white blankets. Rivers freeze overnight. The polar vortex reminds us that boundaries are illusions, that even the Arctic can visit the tropics when the air decides to wander. All of these forces, the floods and droughts, El Niño and La Niña, the ocean currents and polar winds, are expressions of one truth. The Earth is alive, forever adjusting, forever seeking balance. Water moves in cycles both grand and intimate. The droplet rising as vapor, the river swelling with rain, the ocean shifting beneath the moon. When too much gathers, we call it flood. When too little falls, we call it drought. Yet both are gestures of the same rhythm, the endless conversation between sky and sea. Stand beside a rushing river and feel its power. Walk across a cracked plain and sense its yearning. In both, you are witnessing the same story told in two voices, one of abundance, one of absence. We tend to think of weather as something happening to us, but truly, it happens through us. Our bodies are mostly water. Our breath follows the rhythm of the wind. When the ocean warms, our seasons change. When the desert cools at night, we exhale with it. The floods, the droughts, the winds, the tides, they are not the planet's anger, but its language. And if we listen closely enough, through the thunder and the silence, through the crashing of waves and the whisper of dust, we can hear what it has been saying all along, that everything is connected, that balance is sacred, and that even the wildest storm is part of the Earth's eternal attempt to heal itself. The sky and the land are not separate worlds. They speak in echoes, each answering the other's breath, each shaping the other's destiny. Beneath the clouds, the Earth stirs. Above the mountains, the atmosphere listens and responds. Together, they form the grand duet of creation and destruction, the ceaseless conversation that sculpts the face of the planet. When a volcano erupts, it is not only the ground that trembles. The sky does too. In a single eruption, millions of tons of ash and gas are hurled upward with the force of thousands of nuclear bombs. Columns of smoke pierce the stratosphere, spreading out like grey umbrellas that dim the sun. Volcanic ash, though beautiful from afar, carries fine particles of sulfur dioxide that transform into aerosols, scattering sunlight back into space. For months, sometimes years, global temperatures drop. History remembers these moments as seasons of shadow. In 1815, the eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia darkened skies across the world. The following year became known as the Year Without a Summer. Frost fell in June in North America. Crops failed in Europe. Hunger and illness spread like ripples from a single, fiery wound in the Earth's crust. Yet from that same chaos emerged art and reflection, poems of night and stars, the seeds of new science, the reminder that the Earth's breath can alter the rhythm of civilization. But fire does not always come from beneath. Sometimes it rises from within the forests themselves. When lightning strikes a parched landscape, it sets into motion one of nature's most paradoxical creations, the wildfire, a destroyer and renewer in one. The heat of a massive fire generates its own weather. The rising columns of smoke twist into spirals. Air is pulled upward with such strength that it creates thunderclouds, known as pyrocumulonimbus. Within these burning clouds, moisture condenses, sparks flash, and lightning is born. Lightning that can ignite new fires dozens of kilometers away. It is the atmosphere mirroring the chaos of the land, amplifying it, feeding it. The smoke from these infernos can travel across oceans, turning sunsets red in distant lands. Each particle becomes a seed of reflection, scattering light, painting the sky with eerie hues. Fires create artificial clouds, drifting for thousands of kilometers, pale, ghostly veils made of ash and vapor. And when the rains return, those same clouds fall back to Earth, bringing with them the minerals of burnt forests, nutrients that will one day feed new growth. Even destruction has its roots in renewal. From the deserts of Africa, another gift rises into the air, the dust of the Sahara. At first glance, it seems lifeless, grains of sand carried by hot winds across the Atlantic. But within that dust lie the remains of ancient seas, rich with iron and phosphorus, the very ingredients of life. Every year, billions of tons of Saharan dust drift westward, a golden haze that crosses oceans and continents. When it settles over South America, it nourishes the Amazon rainforest, one of Earth's greatest living lungs. The journey of this dust is a story of balance written in wind. The largest desert on the planet feeds the largest forest. The barren nourishes the fertile. Without the Sahara's endless breath, the Amazon's soil, stripped of nutrients by constant rain, would eventually starve. The sky becomes the bridge between opposites, turning distance into connection. Sometimes, the sea itself joins the performance, glowing in the dark like a dream. After great storms, when waves churn the ocean surface, billions of microscopic organisms called bioluminescent plankton awaken. Stirred by the motion of the water, they emit soft blue light, a living radiance that ripples across the waves. Sailors call it the Milky Sea. Seen from space, these glowing oceans look like galaxies adrift upon Earth's surface. The light is both delicate and immense, a cosmic reflection of the stars above. Hurricanes and typhoons, in all their violence, help awaken this beauty, their winds stirring the surface into luminous bloom. Out of turmoil comes wonder. The same slow patience shapes the solid world. Over millennia, weather itself becomes a sculptor. Wind, rain, frost, and time carve the proud bones of mountains into valleys, ridges, and plains. Each droplet of rain that seeps into a crack, freezes, and expands becomes a tiny chisel of creation. Over ages, summits collapse, rivers deepen, and new paths emerge. This erosion is not destruction, it is transformation. The granite of peaks becomes the soil of valleys. What was once mountain becomes the bed of a future forest, the cradle of life. Weather is not merely a visitor upon the land, it is the patient artist behind its shape. The wind, too, leaves its signature upon stone. In the world's deserts and high plateaus, constant gusts polish and sculpt the rock into strange and wondrous forms, arches, spires, towers, and bridges that seem carved by a divine hand. These formations, born of nothing but air and time, stand as monuments to persistence. In places like Monument Valley in the American Southwest or the White Desert of Egypt, wind has played the role of both sculptor and storyteller. Each curve and hollow whispers of centuries, the way storms have caressed stone, the way sand has danced against its surface, smoothing what was once sharp. Wind turns rock into memory, carving silence into form. And then, in the midst of this long, slow artistry, there are moments of instantaneous creation, when fire and air collide so fiercely they fuse the earth itself. When lightning strikes sand with enough heat, more than 2,000 degrees Celsius, it melts the grains together into glass. The result is a slender, branching structure known as a fulgurite, from the Latin fulgur, meaning lightning. Each fulgurite is a frozen bolt of energy, a glass sculpture shaped by pure electricity. Some are only a few centimeters long, others stretch meters beneath the surface, twisting like roots of light. To hold one is to hold a fragment of the storm's memory, a moment when heaven and earth met in a single flash. Every one of these phenomena, the erupting volcano, the lightning-born glass, the dust that feeds the forest, reveals the same truth. There is no boundary between the solid and the sky. Fire births clouds. Air feeds oceans. Wind sculpts stone. The planet is a symphony of elements, each one echoing the others in infinite rhythm. The ancient philosophers once said that earth, air, fire, and water were the building blocks of existence. Modern science has found deeper names for them: silicon, oxygen, carbon, energy. But the poetry remains unchanged. These forces do not compete, they collaborate, weaving cycles of renewal that keep the world alive. When you stand at the edge of a volcano and feel the ash settle on your skin, you are touching the future soil of forests yet unborn. When you see Sahara dust drifting in a shaft of sunlight, you are watching the earth share its breath with itself. When a thunderstorm rumbles above the sea, lighting it into ribbons of blue fire, you are witnessing the meeting of ocean and atmosphere, two lovers embracing across infinity. And when lightning strikes the sand and leaves behind a fulgurite, a glass vein of solidified sky, you are reminded that even in its wildest moments, nature is always creating. It breaks to build. It burns to renew. It erodes to give birth. Everything the earth does, from the violence of eruption to the hush of erosion, serves the same quiet purpose: to keep the balance alive. The mountain, the cloud, the ocean, and the wind are not separate players, but movements in one grand symphony, an unending conversation between body and breath. So the next time thunder rolls or the ground trembles beneath your feet, do not think of disaster, think of dialogue. The sky is speaking to the stone, the fire is whispering to the rain, and in the middle of that exchange, fragile, temporary, and luminous, stands us. Witnesses made of both earth and air, listening to the song of our planet as it endlessly remakes itself. The story of weather is not just about sky and storm. It is about time. Slow time, ancient time. Beneath the heat and wind, beneath the thunder and rain, the earth remembers in silence. Nowhere is that memory more visible than in the realm of ice, the patient architect of landscapes and the quiet keeper of centuries. Far from the equator, in places where the air bites and sound travels like crystal, glaciers live and move. At first glance, they seem motionless, vast rivers of frozen light stretching between mountains. Yet, they are not still. A glacier flows, inch by inch, as though time itself has become liquid. Under its own immense weight, the ice deforms, creaks, and sighs, sliding over the rocks below like honey made of cold. Every glacier begins as snowfall that never fully melts. Over years, the snow compacts into dense ice, layer upon layer, until the weight becomes irresistible. It starts to flow, carving valleys, grinding mountains into dust. Entire landscapes, fjords, lakes, plains, are the handiwork of ancient glaciers that have long since vanished. Their movement is slow, but their power rivals the sea. They shape continents the way rivers shape sand. Sometimes, the frozen calm breaks without warning, along steep slopes where layers of snow have grown heavy and fragile. A single vibration, a voice, a footstep, a breath of wind can awaken catastrophe. The snow fractures, slides, and falls. What begins as a whisper becomes a thunderous roar as tons of snow hurtle downhill. An avalanche can move faster than a car, outrunning anything that tries to flee. Within seconds, it transforms air into weapon, snow compacted into a flowing wall, dense as water, unstoppable as gravity. Yet even this fury is part of balance. Avalanches clear the mountainsides, making room for new layers of snow, new forests to grow once spring returns. The destruction is seasonal, cyclical, a reminder that nature's violence is often its method of renewal. Farther north, the glaciers meet the sea, and there the earth performs one of its quietest miracles. Massive slabs of ice, fractured by pressure and warmed by salt water, break free and drift into the ocean as icebergs. From above, they seem like floating mountains. But what we see is only a fragment of their true size. More than 90% of each iceberg lies hidden beneath the surface, a vast invisible world sculpted by cold and current. They groan and crack as they move, deep sounds that travel through the water like the heartbeat of the polar seas. As they melt, they release fresh water that nourishes plankton blooms, feeding entire ecosystems. They are not merely remnants of the past, they are part of the ocean's living cycle, dissolving to give life. Beneath those frozen surfaces, another secret flows unseen. Deep within the Arctic and Antarctic permafrost, the ground that remains frozen year-round, lies ancient life. Microbes, spores, and seeds have slept there for thousands, even millions of years, preserved in the crystalline grip of ice. Scientists have revived bacteria from frozen layers, older than human civilization. Each thawing cell is a messenger from the deep past, carrying stories of climates long forgotten. But this thaw is also a warning. As permafrost melts under a warming planet, it releases carbon and methane once trapped within, changing the very breath of the atmosphere. The frozen archives of Earth are waking up, and what they exhale will echo through our future. Even beneath the thickest glaciers, rivers still flow. In darkness, hidden from sun and sky, meltwater carves tunnels through the ice, creating subterranean streams that race toward the sea. These hidden rivers sculpt the undersides of glaciers, lubricating their motion, feeding vast networks that scientists call ice plumbing. They remind us that even in the world of stillness, motion persists, that beneath every silence, something is always moving. And from this frozen world, we return to motion in its most radiant form, life itself. For weather is not merely a backdrop to living things, it is the script that guides them. The winds and currents, the rains and droughts, the heat and frost, all shape the migrations, patterns, and dreams of the creatures who share this planet with us. Every year, as the seasons shift, billions of animals respond to the call of the weather. Some follow the warmth, others the rain, still others the invisible lines of magnetism that flow through the air. This is the Great Migration, a pulse of movement that connects continents and oceans, all orchestrated by the language of climate. High above the forests of North America, delicate wings beat against the wind. The monarch butterflies begin their astonishing pilgrimage, a journey of nearly 3,000 miles, guided by sunlight and air currents, generation after generation. None of the butterflies that leave the north ever return, yet their descendants somehow find the same groves of trees in Mexico every winter. How they know is a mystery written in air, encoded in their fragile bodies by millennia of weather's whisper. In the open sky, birds ride invisible rivers of heat, known as thermals. These spirals of warm air rise from the sunlit ground, carrying the birds upward effortlessly. Eagles and hawks spread their wings wide, circling higher, gliding for hours without a single beat. To them, the air is not resistance. It is a road. Migration is not only endurance, but harmony. An act of trust in the unseen structures of the atmosphere. Down below, in the dust of the savannah and the fields of Asia, another traveler awakens when the rains return. The locusts, creatures of solitude, transform into vast, shimmering swarms when moisture blesses the land. Fueled by wet soil and new grass, they rise in clouds that darken the horizon, moving as one body. Their emergence is timed to rainfall, a symphony of instinct and weather. In too much abundance, they can devastate crops, yet they too are part of nature's cycles of growth and balance. In the oceans, where light bends into endless blue, the coral reefs, ancient cities of stone and color, pulse with quiet life. Each coral polyp is a fragile creature that thrives only within a narrow range of temperature. When the sea warms beyond its limit, the corals expel the algae that feed them, losing their color in a ghostly event called bleaching. Entire reefs fade into bone-white silence. Coral bleaching is not just tragedy. It is the ocean's cry for equilibrium. Some reefs recover when the waters cool, their colors blooming again like resurrection. Others do not. The fate of these corals mirrors our own. How the delicate web of weather and life depends on balance. How a few degrees of warmth can decide between abundance and absence. From the migration of butterflies to the melting of ice, from the hum of wind under an eagle's wing to the quiet death of coral in overheated seas, one truth remains constant. The weather is alive, and we are part of it. It shapes not only landscapes, but destinies. It guides, it tests, it teaches. The glacier moves slower than thought, yet its journey sculpts mountains. The bird rides a thermal it cannot see, yet it finds home. The coral endures heat it cannot escape, yet in that endurance lies beauty. And we, too, are shaped by this unseen hand. The air we breathe has touched oceans and deserts, volcanoes and storms. The water we drink once fell as rain on forests, long vanished. The heat that warms our skin today once flared from stars that burned before the earth was born. Weather, then, is not just atmosphere, it is memory. The memory of creation, still unfolding. The earth is not a static sphere, but a breathing organism, its lungs made of forests and seas, its pulse driven by the cycle of wind and cloud, its dreams carried in snowflakes and sand grains alike. Perhaps that is the quiet message of all this motion, that we are not visitors here, but participants. Our every breath returns to the sky. Our every heartbeat echoes the thunder. The glacier flows, the butterfly flies, the coral fades, the wind continues, and within all of it, the same energy moves, transforming endlessly but never ending. If you stand outside on a night when the air is still and the stars shimmer above, you can almost feel it, the shared pulse of the planet, flowing from ice to storm, to seed to song. Listen long enough, and you will realize the weather is not out there. It is within you. Every storm you have ever felt, every breeze, every sunbeam, all of them live in your veins. For in the end, the story of weather is the story of life itself. Fragile, fierce, eternal. The great breath that binds earth, sky, and soul into one. History is not only written by kings and wars, it is written by clouds. The rise and fall of civilizations, the migrations of peoples, the birth of revolutions, and the silence of forgotten cities have all been guided by something as intangible as air. The weather is the invisible historian, shaping human destiny one season at a time. Long before satellites and maps, long before empires drew borders on parchment, climate decided where life could flourish. Rivers swelled or vanished, crops thrived or withered, and with them, entire societies bloomed and died. The balance between sky and soil has always been delicate, and when it faltered, even the mightiest cities became dust. Across centuries, entire civilizations have been undone not by war, but by weather. In the heart of Central America, the ancient Maya Empire once built cities of stone, aligned to the stars, alive with art and astronomy. But beneath their brilliance, the climate was shifting. Tree rings, cave sediments, and lake beds all tell the same quiet story. A long, unrelenting drought. For decades, rains failed. Crops dwindled, reservoirs dried, and the jungle that had once nurtured them began to reclaim their temples. Political unrest followed hunger. Cities emptied. The voices of their astronomer priests faded beneath the roots and vines. By the time the rains returned, the empire was gone. Weather had rewritten history, not with a storm's fury, but with the silence of the sun. This is not a tale of the distant past alone. In every age, the sky has chosen sides. Battles and wars have turned on a single gust of wind or an untimely storm. In 1588, when the Spanish Armada sailed to conquer England, the fleet met not an army but a tempest. Winds shattered ships against the coast, scattering the invasion into ruin. The English called it the Protestant wind, believing that God himself had defended them. Centuries later, in 1812, Napoleon's Grand Army marched into Russia, 600,000 strong, only to meet an adversary more merciless than any soldier. The Russian winter. Snow swallowed men, horses, and cannons alike. The temperature plunged. Supplies froze before reaching the front. When spring returned, only a fraction of his army remained. Even in the modern world, the weather remains an unseen commander. Typhoons, monsoons, and sudden thaws have altered the outcomes of wars and the fate of nations. No weapon has yet surpassed the wind's precision or the storm's persistence. But weather is not always wrath. Sometimes it is endurance. In the 14th century, Earth entered a strange and haunting era, the Little Ice Age. Temperatures fell by only a few degrees, but the world felt it in every breath. Glaciers advanced through alpine valleys. Harvests failed across Europe. The seas raged and froze. The River Thames in London turned solid each winter, thick enough to hold festivals, bonfires, even markets. People danced on ice, sold roasted chestnuts, and played music atop what should have been a flowing river. Yet beneath the joy, the frost carried weight. Crops perished in fields, and famine followed. The cold altered trade, migration, and invention. It taught humanity humility and adaptation. People built stronger houses, bred hardier crops, learned to read the patterns of the wind more closely. Every chill carried a lesson. Survival belongs not to the strongest, but to the most attuned. In this way, the climate has always been both a teacher and a test. It gave us seasons and demanded awareness. It sculpted not only mountains, but civilizations. And now, the conversation between weather and humanity continues. But the voice has changed. For the first time in history, we have become not only the students of the atmosphere, but also its sculptors. Our cities, our machines, our fires, all whisper upward, altering the balance of the very sky that once ruled us. Step into any metropolis and you can feel it. The air holds its own heat. The concrete, the glass, the engines, all trap and radiate warmth, creating what scientists call the urban heat island effect. Within these man-made valleys of steel, temperatures can stand 5, even 10 degrees higher than in the countryside. The night air stays thick, the asphalt sweats, and the stars vanish behind a haze of light and heat. Cities breathe differently. Their geometry reshapes the wind. The skyscrapers, with their mirrored skins and sharp edges, channel the air into strange currents. A gentle breeze that would once have brushed across fields now ricochets between towers, twisting into sudden gusts, strong enough to lift umbrellas and swirl debris. The skyline becomes its own weather system, artificial and alive. And as the sun sets, the horizon glows deeper than it used to. Pollution, a word that carries both guilt and beauty, changes the color of light itself. Dust, smoke, and aerosols scatter sunlight into crimson and violet, turning sunsets into spectacular illusions. The same particles that choke lungs also paint skies worthy of worship. Our actions have transformed the canvas of the heavens, even if the artistry comes at a cost. But humanity has not only changed weather by accident. We have learned, in small ways, to shape it deliberately. In times of drought, planes are sent to scatter silver iodide crystals into clouds, a process known as cloud seeding, to encourage rain. Farmers once prayed for the heavens to open. Now they attempt to engineer the prayer. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But the gesture itself is extraordinary, proof that the line between reverence and control grows thinner with each generation. And yet, even as we build cities that breathe and machines that call rain, we remain bound by the same ancient instincts that guided our ancestors. We still look to the sky for omens, for comfort, for prophecy. Sailors once watched for the color of dawn and dusk, whispering the old verse, "Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in morning, sailor take warning." Even in our world of satellites and radar, those simple words still hold truth. A red evening sky often means dry air ahead, calm seas and gentle winds. A red dawn hints at moisture and storms. We have written equations to replace our instincts, but the sky still speaks the same language, if only we remember to listen. In the glow of city lights, under the hum of engines and the pulse of electricity, we are part of a new chapter in the story of climate, one where the Earth's atmosphere no longer merely shapes us, but reflects us. The warmth rising from our cities mingles with the jet streams. Our smokestacks touch the stratosphere. Our choices alter the future rhythm of storms. It is easy to feel guilt or fear when thinking of this. The melting ice, the burning forests, the unpredictable seasons. But there is also wonder in it. We are now aware of the very forces that once ruled us. We can observe them, measure them, and, if we act wisely, help restore their balance. For in the end, humanity's relationship with weather is not a struggle for dominance, but a dialogue of understanding. The same intelligence that built towers can learn humility again. The same species that alters skies can choose to heal them. Our ancestors once believed the gods lived in thunder and rain. Perhaps they were not wrong, for to hear thunder is to hear power greater than our own. To feel rain is to be reminded of our dependence. The divine has always lived in the elements, in the warmth of the sun, the rhythm of the tides, the patience of the wind. We may live in the age of machines, but the old relationship endures. The storm still decides harvests. The drought still humbles nations. The red sky still whispers its warnings to sailors, and the frost still sculpts the edges of our dreams. If you stand at the edge of a city and look up through its glow, you can almost see both worlds at once, the ancient and the modern, meeting in the same sky. The clouds drift as they always have, carrying the breath of forests, the smoke of volcanoes, and the faint heat of millions of human lives. Our story has never been separate from the weather's story. Every civilization is written beneath its moods. Every age is defined by its storms. And whether we are building temples of stone or towers of glass, we remain, as ever, children of the sky, listening, trembling, learning. The wind that once erased empires now turns our turbines. The sun that once scorched our ancestors' crops now powers our homes. The rain that once drowned villages now fills our reservoirs. We have not escaped the weather. We have become part of its evolution. And perhaps that is the true legacy of humanity, not mastery, but participation. To live as both student and steward of the air, to remember that when the city hums at night and the horizon burns red, it is not just pollution, it is a reflection of us, our choices, our breath mingled with the planets. The sky, after all, does not belong to anyone. It is a mirror, ancient, infinite, and alive. And when we finally learn to see ourselves in it, we will remember that every storm we fear, every breeze we cherish, is the world itself, speaking back, light, like thought, bends with the medium it moves through. And because the air around us is never still, layered with heat, moisture, and invisible waves of motion, light itself dances. From that dance arise the most magical of all weather phenomena, the optical illusions of the sky. These are not tricks of imagination, but truths hidden in plain sight. Moments when physics becomes poetry, when geometry and mindfulness meet. When sunlight meets rain, the most familiar miracle occurs, the rainbow. We see it as an arc, hanging shyly between clouds and earth. But in truth, a rainbow is not a curve at all. It is a perfect circle. We usually stand on the ground, where the horizon cuts it in half, hiding the rest below our feet. But from an airplane, you can sometimes see the whole thing. A radiant wheel of color suspended in mist, encircling the shadow of the plane itself. Each drop of rain acts as a tiny prism. Sunlight enters, bends, reflects off the back, and bends again as it exits, separating into 7 hues: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. No two people ever see exactly the same rainbow, because each eye catches light from different drops. What we share, then, is not a single arc, but a harmony of perspectives refracted through the same rain. Sometimes, the sky repeats its own wonder. When sunlight bounces twice inside a raindrop before escaping, it forms a double rainbow, a fainter, larger twin with colors reversed. Between them lies a darker band known as Alexander's Belt, a shadowed silence between 2 worlds of light. Ancient travelers saw this as a bridge to another realm. Scientists see it as simple optics. But in truth, both are right. For in that moment, the laws of physics create a living mandala: symmetry, inversion, reflection, nature's meditation on itself. Far to the north, where the cold makes crystals out of air, the sun sometimes multiplies into many. On winter mornings, halos of ice shimmer in the frozen sky, and bright mock suns appear on either side of the real one. These are sundogs, tiny mirrors of sunlight refracted through hexagonal ice crystals drifting in the upper atmosphere. To the eye, they look like twin stars flanking the day, flames caught in halos of fire. Pilots often see them while flying above the clouds, watching the sun bloom into 3. At times, those same crystals form vast rings around the sun or moon, halos, pure and ethereal. When light passes through thin, cirrus clouds filled with microscopic ice, it bends precisely 22 degrees, creating a luminous circle. To stand beneath one is to feel the scale of geometry made visible. Ancient people saw halos as omens, signs that storms were coming, that gods were watching. Today, we know they are the fingerprints of atmospheric order, yet even knowing that, they still move something wordless within us. The mind may measure, the heart still bows. In hotter realms, light plays different games. Travelers across deserts often see mirages, shimmering lakes on the horizon, water that vanishes when approached. This, too, is not illusion but science in motion. Hot air near the ground bends light upward, creating reflections of the sky that appear as pools. The mind, trained by thirst, mistakes them for salvation. But every mirage carries a lesson. What we see is not always what is. Perception is a dialogue between truth and temperature. The desert becomes a mirror of our own longing, how the mind paints hope upon heat. Sometimes, the bending of light goes beyond trickery into magic. In the Arctic, when layers of cold air sit atop warmer ones, light curves the other way, creating superior mirages. Ships appear to float above the sea. Islands rise into the air like castles made of smoke. The horizon lifts and shimmers, and the world feels briefly untethered. Sailors once called these fata morgana, visions of ghost ships or phantom lands. But again, the physics is simple. Layers of air with different densities act as lenses, warping reality. And yet, standing before such a vision, no one thinks of refraction. They think of wonder. Every evening, when the sun sinks low, another secret sometimes flashes into being. Just as the last sliver of the solar disk dips below the horizon, the light may explode into an emerald spark, the elusive green flash. It lasts only a second, a breath, a blink. The reason is delicate. As sunlight passes through the thick atmosphere at sunset, blue and green wavelengths are bent slightly more than red and yellow. For an instant, When the red disappears and the blue is scattered away, only the pure green remains. Sailors used to say it was the moment when heaven and earth kissed, a blink of eternity. To see one is to catch the sky winking back at you. And then, when the night has fallen and the moon climbs through veils of cloud, the rainbows return, but in softer tone. Moonbows, or lunar rainbows, form the same way as their daytime kin. But the light is weaker, gentler. Most appear white to the naked eye, faint as breath, though cameras can reveal their true colors. They are rainbows whispered rather than sung, meant for those who wander beneath silver skies and know how to wait. Every one of these optical wonders arises from the same essence: light, meeting imperfection. Raindrops, ice crystals, heat waves, dust, all are disturbances, irregularities. Without them, the sky would be empty and uniform, a blank screen. It is the small deviations, the asymmetries, the gradients, the shifting layers that make beauty possible. Science describes them in terms of wavelengths, refraction, and scattering. Meditation describes them in terms of awareness and perception. Both point to the same truth. Illumination comes from interaction. Light needs matter. Perception needs motion. Understanding needs time. In this way, the atmosphere becomes a teacher of mindfulness. A rainbow does not exist until you stand at the right angle. A halo vanishes the moment you turn away. A mirage depends on the heat of the ground, a sundog on the chill of the clouds. None can be possessed or repeated exactly. They invite only presence, attention to this instant, in this place. To watch the sky's optical play is to practice stillness through seeing. You stand, breathe, and witness photons traveling 8 minutes from the sun, entering drops of water, scattering through air that itself was exhaled by forests. Every hue you see is the memory of a journey. Light transformed by distance, refracted by time. Perhaps that is why these illusions feel sacred. They are reminders that reality itself is a collaboration between what is and what perceives. When the world bends light, it creates beauty. When we bend attention, we create meaning. If you ever find yourself under a double rainbow or staring at a halo encircling the moon, pause for a moment. Feel the air against your skin, the tiny vibrations of color within your eyes. The universe is painting with physics, and you are its conscious witness. The monks of the Himalayas once said that enlightenment is like the rainbow, seen only when sun and rain coexist. Too much light, and the colors vanish. Too much shadow, and there is no reflection. The miracle lies in the meeting, the delicate balance between radiance and surrender. So it is with the world, and with us. The same light that bends through raindrops bends through our thoughts. The same layers of warmth and coolness that create a mirage shape the way we see our own lives. When perception clears, even briefly, we glimpse the full circle of the rainbow, complete, infinite, unbroken. And in that moment of clarity, we realize the optical illusions of the sky are not deceptions. They are revelations, brief windows into the truth that everything, from light to life, is made of transformation. The rainbow, the halo, the green flash, the moonbow, they are all the atmosphere thinking in color. And when we pause long enough to see them, we too become part of that thought, a witness of light, a vessel of awareness, a moment of stillness in the endless motion of the sky. There are moments when the sky forgets its silence and becomes pure electricity. When the atmosphere, charged beyond measure, opens its invisible veins and pours light into the world. Lightning is more than a flash or a roar. It is the visible heartbeat of the planet, a conversation between the earth and the heavens. We often think of lightning as a wild, unpredictable force, but in truth it follows an elegant order, obeying laws as precise as any symphony. It seeks balance, moving where resistance is lowest, restoring equilibrium between cloud and ground, between positive and negative charge. And sometimes, its loyalty surprises us. It is said that lightning never strikes the same place twice, but that is a myth. In truth, lightning remembers. It finds familiar paths through air and stone, returning again and again to the same summits and spires. The Empire State Building in New York is struck nearly 25 times each year. So are broadcast towers, mountains, and solitary trees in open fields. These points are natural conductors, pathways of least resistance between the earth and the sky. Each strike is not chaos, but connection, energy finding its way home. This understanding gave birth to one of humanity's simplest, yet most profound inventions, the lightning rod. By offering the bolt a safe path to the ground, we learn to cooperate with the storm instead of defying it. In that way, every city's skyline today carries silent proof that the power of the heavens can be guided, not conquered, but respected and redirected. Lightning, for all its noise, is also patient. It will return to the same spot for decades, sometimes centuries. The ground holds its memory, and the clouds respond in kind. Each bolt is both destruction and devotion, the sky writing its name again upon the earth. But the sky's electric language holds stranger dialect still. Among the rarest and most haunting is ball lightning, orbs of glowing fire that drift through the air, sometimes even through windows or the cabin of an airplane. Witnesses describe these spheres as white, yellow, or blue, the size of apples, or as large as beach balls, gliding silently for a few seconds before fading or exploding with a hiss. In one famous case from the 1960 seconds, passengers aboard an aircraft watched, spellbound, as a ball of light drifted calmly down the aisle before vanishing near the cockpit. Science still wrestles with its mystery. Is it plasma, air ionized into a floating flame? Is it burning vapor, chemical reaction, or electromagnetic knot? No one knows for sure. Ball lightning defies replication. It comes when it pleases and leaves without trace. It is the ghost of electricity, a luminous thought passing briefly through the material world. To those who have seen it, ball lightning feels alive, a wandering spirit born from thunder's heart. Perhaps it is the sky's reminder that not everything that glows can be explained, and not every mystery needs a cage of theory. Some lights are meant to drift, not to be held. Above the storms, beyond where ordinary lightning flashes, stranger lights still dance in the rarefied air. High in the upper atmosphere, just above the thunderclouds, immense red apparitions bloom for a heartbeat, vast shapes like jellyfish made of flame. These are sprites. For millennia, no one knew they existed. They appear for milliseconds, far too brief for the naked eye to register. Only with modern cameras and high-altitude observation did humanity finally confirm them. Sprites occur when an intense lightning bolt below disturbs the electric field above, sending tendrils of energy upward instead of down. To pilots cruising above the clouds, sprites look like living creatures, pulses of red light spreading in silence, illuminating the edges of space. They can stretch for tens of kilometers, towering higher than any mountain, yet vanish before the mind can form a thought. They are reminders that the storm is not limited to what we see. Beneath the thundercloud, rain falls. Above it, the sky itself hums with unseen fire. The weather reaches far beyond our vision, touching the edge of the heavens. Alongside, the sprites are their cooler cousins, blue jets, shafts of electric light that spear upward from storm tops into the stratosphere. While sprites bloom red and wide, jets are narrow, swift, and cobalt blue, like lightning arrows shot towards space. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station have seen them firsthand, pale lances of energy stabbing through the upper air, brief as thought, silent as dreams. These blue jets show that thunderstorms are not confined to Earth. They are part of a greater circuit, a vertical bridge connecting the surface to the stars. When lightning leaps upward instead of down, it reverses our imagination. The storm no longer looks like a punishment from heaven, but a message to it. Blue jets reveal that energy does not end where the sky begins. It continues outward, carried by the same charge that flows through the sun, through stars, through the vast magnetic field that protects us all. The next time you see lightning fork across a storm, remember, half the conversation is happening above, unseen, whispered into space. And sometimes, that whisper becomes a roar from below. When a volcano awakens, it is not only the earth that burns, the sky ignites as well. In the clouds of ash above an eruption, particles collide and grind against each other, building immense static charges. The result is volcanic lightning, a storm born from stone and fire. Imagine standing at the edge of such an eruption. The air filled with molten ash, the sky crackling with bolts of light. Each flash reveals plumes of smoke shaped like towers, glowing from within. It is as if the planet itself is striking back, releasing the same electricity that lies dormant in our veins. Volcanic lightning is one of the few places where earth and sky truly merge, the solid ground breathing plasma, the heavens echoing the roar of magma. These storms remind us that weather is not separate from geology. It is the earth expressing its inner energy through air. Such moments blur the boundaries between worlds, the lightning above clouds meeting the lightning within mountains, the red sprites of the upper atmosphere echoing the fiery tongues of the volcano. The circuit closes. Heaven and earth speak in light. When we study these electric mysteries, sprites, jets, orbs, and volcanic fire, we are not just observing weather. We are witnessing the nervous system of the planet. Every bolt of lightning is a neuron firing across the synapses of the sky. The earth thinks in electricity, dreams in plasma, and speaks through thunder. From a scientific view, these are phenomena of ionization, conductivity, and energy discharge. From a meditative view, they are expressions of unity, moments when the visible and invisible touch. The same spark that leaps between cloud and ground leaps also between our thoughts. The mind, too, produces lightning, sudden insight, creative fire, illumination. To watch lightning, then, is to watch awareness itself. Raw, luminous, momentary. It appears from nowhere, brightens everything, and vanishes into silence, leaving the faint scent of ozone and the echo of understanding. If you ever find yourself beneath a storm, don't only fear the flash. Close your eyes between the thunder and the rain. Feel the vibration in your chest, the static tingling in the air, the charged stillness before the bolt. That tension is the same energy that powers every cell in your body, the same flow that lights the stars. Lightning is not the enemy of life. It is its origin. Long before humans, long before trees, the first sparks that danced across the primordial sky may have helped awaken the chemistry of living matter. The storm has always been our ancestor. So when the heavens flare white, do not just see danger, see connection. You are part of the circuit, the earth grounding the sky, the body grounding the soul. The flash that splits the clouds is the same spark that once ignited the first heartbeat. In that instant, the boundary between science and spirit dissolves, and what remains is wonder, pure, electric, eternal. When we look up and watch clouds drift across the blue, it is easy to forget that weather is not confined to our world. The same physics that move our winds and form our rains also shape tempests across the solar system and beyond. But out there, in the silence of space, those familiar forces take on grander, stranger forms. The air is different, the pressure immense, the light foreign, and yet the breath of the cosmos still stirs. Even here on Earth, our atmosphere can summon storms of impossible scale, the most powerful ever recorded, Typhoon Tip of 1979, was a masterpiece of fury. At its peak, it stretched more than 2,200 kilometers across, nearly half the width of the continental United States. Its winds screamed at nearly 300 kilometers per hour, the central pressure plunging lower than any tropical cyclone before or since. From space, it appeared as a perfect spiral, an ivory vortex spinning with terrifying grace over the western Pacific. It was a reminder that even our small blue planet is capable of violence that rivals the gods of myth. For all our satellites and models, we still stand as witnesses to forces that can swallow nations in wind and water. Typhoon Tip was not only a storm, it was a mirror, showing us the scale of the sky's imagination. But if Earth's storms are mighty, those of the other worlds border on divine. Turn your gaze outward, to Jupiter, the king of storms. There, in the southern hemisphere, lies a wound that has never healed: the Great Red Spot. This storm has raged for at least 3 centuries, and likely far longer. It is so vast that 3 Earths could fit inside its whirling walls. Seen through a telescope, it burns with colors of rust and rose, a swirling oval within Jupiter's striped body. Its winds reach over 600 kilometers per hour, tearing through ammonia and hydrogen clouds, creating patterns that shift yet never end. For hundreds of years, it has endured, shrinking slowly, fading slightly, but always alive. If you could hover above it, you would see no solid surface, only rolling waves of gas moving in eternal conflict. It is not a storm on a planet, it is the planet itself in motion, a meditation on persistence and chaos. Jupiter's storm does not destroy, it sustains. In its constant churn, it teaches the cosmos's oldest lesson. Balance is not stillness, it is motion without end. Further still, Saturn holds its own enigma, a storm with geometry carved into air. At the North Pole spins the hexagon, a jet stream locked into a 6-sided shape larger than Earth. Discovered by Voyager in the 1980 seconds, and confirmed decades later by Cassini, this perfect polygon defies expectation. Winds circle at 300 kilometers per hour, yet the boundaries never blur. 6 corners, 6 sides, all held in harmony by unseen forces of flow and resonance. To see it from orbit is to feel as though nature itself has learned the language of mathematics. Within the hexagon swirl smaller cyclones, storms inside storms, each obeying the rhythm of Saturn's deep atmosphere. It is order emerging from chaos, the universe painting with symmetry, a shape that could have been drawn by consciousness itself, except that it arose from wind alone. In that realization lies awe. The cosmos does not need intention to create beauty. Motion itself is enough. Drifting even farther from the sun, we reach Uranus, the pale green planet tilted on its side like a sleeping giant. Its calm appearance hides unimaginable velocity. Beneath those frozen clouds, winds roar at 1,200 miles per hour, faster than sound on Earth. No thunder rolls there, no rain falls as we know it. The atmosphere is mostly hydrogen, helium, and methane, swirling in bands faint as whispers. The planet spins almost horizontally, as if turning away from the sun's light. Perhaps that tilt fuels its strange energy, a quiet rebellion written in wind. Uranus is a world of silence, but not of peace. Its storms move without sound, its hurricanes ripple across frozen air, shaping an ocean of gases into fleeting patterns. What we call weather, there might be closer to music, long, deep notes vibrating through invisible air. Beyond it lies Neptune, the farthest known planet, cloaked in deep blue mystery. Here, the atmosphere is colder, darker, and somehow more alive. In 1989, Voyager 2 captured the first image of its great dark spot, a massive storm spinning like a shadowed twin to Jupiter's red one. But Neptune's tempests are faster still, 1,300 miles per hour, the swiftest winds in the solar system. These gales circle the planet in perpetual night, sculpting clouds of methane into stripes and streaks that shift in weeks, not centuries. The dark storms appear and vanish, reborn elsewhere, as if the planet itself dreams new tempests into being. To imagine standing there is impossible. You would face winds faster than bullets, in a world where sunlight is a dim ember and every horizon curves into storm. And yet, even that frozen violence carries a strange calm, proof that motion and stillness can coexist, that fury can have its own serenity. Beyond Neptune, the imagination must travel by mathematics and light. Around distant stars orbit worlds stranger than any myth. Exoplanets, discovered through tiny wobbles in starlight, reveal atmospheres beyond comprehension. On one, astronomers found winds blowing at 7,000 kilometers per hour, fast enough to carry molten glass through the air. Clouds there are made of silicates, tiny shards of minerals suspended in heat, and when they condense, it rains glass sideways. Imagine that storm. A planet wrapped in blue light, its horizon sparkling with diamond dust and razor rain. The sky alive with refracted fire. Another world, orbiting so close to its star that its year lasts only a few hours, burns at over 2,000 degrees Celsius. There, the air itself is metal. Iron and titanium evaporate in the upper atmosphere, condense at twilight, and fall again as molten rain. A rain not of life, but of liquid flame. The horizon glows red and gold like the surface of a forge. To imagine standing under such a sky is to realize how narrow our own definition of weather is. On Earth, rain nourishes. Elsewhere, it cuts, burns, and sings. In the cosmic scale, every storm is a kind of consciousness, a pattern forming and dissolving, an act of expression written in gas and heat. From typhoon tip to the Great Red Spot, from Saturn's hexagon to Neptune's black whirlwinds, from glass storms to iron rain, the universe shows us that weather is one of its oldest languages. It speaks not only in thunder and lightning, but in geometry and grace. It shapes mountains, planets, atmospheres, and perhaps even the birth of life itself. When we gaze upward and watch clouds drift, we are seeing the same physics that sculpt storms across the galaxy. The same balance of gravity, temperature, and motion that forms a rainbow here also spins a cyclone around a distant star. In that sense, weather is universal, an art form of the cosmos, painted with air and light. And when we listen to the whisper of wind through trees, or the rumble of thunder across oceans, we are hearing not just Earth's voice, but an echo of Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, of worlds unseen, all breathing under the same cosmic rhythm. So let the thought settle like starlight. The universe itself is alive with weather, and we, tiny, fragile, conscious, are part of its eternal forecast. Before there were eyes to see or lungs to breathe, before even the first green leaf reached towards sunlight, the sky itself was alien. If you could stand on the newborn Earth 4 billion years ago, you would not recognize the world above you. The air was heavy, hot, and tinted red-orange, thick with methane, carbon dioxide, and sulfurous haze. There was no oxygen, no blue. The sun's light filtered through volcanic gas, painting the heavens in hues of rust and fire. Lightning flashed constantly over boiling seas. Volcanoes bled into the air, filling it with ash and iron. Yet within that chaos, something extraordinary was beginning. Beneath the poisonous clouds, the first oceans shimmered, dark, rich with minerals, alive with possibility. There, in the depths, lightning and sunlight struck molecules into new forms. Out of that chemistry, life took its first trembling breath. That early atmosphere, though toxic to us, was the womb of creation. It carried carbon and hydrogen, nitrogen and sulfur, the letters of biology's alphabet. Slowly, over millions of years, tiny organisms learned to draw energy from sunlight. The cyanobacteria that bloomed in ancient seas exhaled something new: oxygen. It was poison to the old world, but a miracle. This moment, called the Great Oxidation Event, transformed everything. The sky, once crimson and dense, grew pale and blue. Iron in the oceans rusted, settling as red bands in stone that still line cliffs today, a geological memory of air being born, and with oxygen came weather as we know it. Storms with thunder, clouds white as breath, rain that carved rivers and fed forests. The earth began to breathe. Deep beneath the polar ice, that ancient air still waits. Each bubble trapped in glacier ice is a time capsule, tiny fossils of atmosphere. Scientists drill deep cores from Greenland and Antarctica, pulling cylinders of ice that stretch hundreds of thousands of years back in time. Layer by layer, they read the story of the planet's lungs, how carbon rose and fell, how volcanoes coughed, how forests grew and burned. In these frozen scrolls lies a warning and a wonder. The air we breathe today still carries whispers of those ancient epochs. Within every inhalation are molecules that once brushed the gills of dinosaurs or drifted through the coral reefs of vanished seas. The atmosphere is not static. It is a circle of memory, constantly exchanged, never lost. The carbon cycle is the rhythm of that memory, the breathing of the planet itself. Volcanoes exhale carbon dioxide. Oceans inhale it. Forests and plankton turn it into life. Decay and fire release it again. Each breath you take participates in this grand exchange. Carbon in your body may once have belonged to a leaf, a whale, a mountain, or a storm. We think of ourselves as separate, but in truth we are part of the same respiration. Each exhalation of ours adds to the great dialogue between air and earth. The sky does not end at the horizon, it extends through every living cell. The planet breathes through us, and through that breath, the climate balances its warmth and cold. Clouds, those drifting mirrors of sunlight, are the planet's regulators. By day, they reflect heat back into space, shielding us. By night, they hold warmth close, wrapping the world in a thin, silver blanket. They are both guardians and tricksters, capable of cooling or warming, depending on their height, shape, and density. When the balance holds, Earth hums in harmony. When it falters, the song shifts. In the modern age, that shift is accelerating. As ice melts at the poles, vast systems of wind and ocean current begin to change. The melting of Greenland's glaciers, for instance, pours fresh water into the North Atlantic, weakening the Gulf Stream that carries warmth toward Europe. The balance of salt, heat, and motion tilts, and with it, the familiar patterns of climate unravel. Wind itself is born from temperature difference, from contrast. As the Arctic warms faster than the equator, that contrast weakens, making jet streams wander. Storms linger longer, seasons blur. The melting ice changes the air, and the air changes everything. We are now living in an age of atmospheric transformation as profound as any in the planet's past. The difference is speed. What once took millennia now happens within a single lifetime. With more carbon comes more heat, and with more heat, the weather itself mutates. Stronger storms, deeper droughts, greater contrasts. The numbers speak plainly. Global temperature rises by mere degrees, but the consequences multiply. Air holds more moisture, fuel for violent rains. Ocean surfaces warm, fuel for stronger hurricanes. Each degree intensifies the engine. And so, we find ourselves amid new extremes. Sea levels rise, not as a slow tide, but as an accumulating truth. Every glacier that melts, every droplet that flows from ice to sea, raises the global mirror that reflects the sky. Cities built on coasts, Venice, Bangkok, Miami, feel the weight of the water inching upward, invisible yet unstoppable. In the Pacific, islands that once sang with coconut and coral now vanish beneath waves. Salt water seeps into fields, changing the taste of crops and the rhythm of life. To stand at the edge of a rising ocean is to feel time itself moving against you. The planet reclaims what was borrowed. As the seas swell, the air burns hotter. Heat waves grow longer, more frequent, more merciless. They kill silently, claiming more lives each year than storms or floods combined. Cities become ovens. Asphalt radiates even after sunset. Trees wilt. Rivers shrink. The Earth's fever does not rage uniformly. Some regions drown while others desiccate. Rainfall shifts in its ancient choreography. Monsoons arrive too soon or too late. Deserts creep outward, and once lush lands crack beneath cloudless skies. Where the Amazon once breathed moisture into the sky, fires now exhale smoke. Where African savannas awaited seasonal rain, the sky delays its blessing. This redistribution of water, this migration of rain and drought, is one of climate's most intimate consequences. It changes not just temperature, but destiny. A dry year becomes a famine. A flood becomes exile. A storm becomes a border. Even lightning, the planet's oldest spark, begins to change. As the world warms, storms grow taller, their thunderheads climbing higher into the atmosphere. The friction of rising air and ice creates more electric potential. Studies suggest that every degree of warming may increase lightning strikes by 12%. More lightning means more fires. More fires release more carbon. And so the cycle feeds itself, the flame returning to the air that once birthed it. Meanwhile, tropical cyclones, fueled by ever warmer seas, begin to reach new thresholds of power. Hurricanes of the future may draw strength from oceans 2 degrees warmer, expanding their reach farther north and south than before. Their eyes will open wider, their rain will fall heavier. What once was a once-in-a-century storm will become a decade's rhythm. In this way, the future's weather is not a stranger. It is our reflection, magnified. The atmosphere simply responds to what we offer it. More heat, more moisture, more energy. The result is neither punishment nor revenge. It is physics remembering itself. Still, the story of climate is not only one of loss. It is also one of awareness, of awakening to the continuity between the ancient and the now. The same forces that once painted the early sky red now turn it gold at sunset. The same carbon that once warmed the primeval oceans now hums in our breath. The same clouds that shielded the first forests still wander above us, their patterns both eternal and fleeting. Earth is not a static object, it is a living system. It has cooled and burned, frozen and thawed, collapsed and renewed. We, as part of that system, are both witness and participant. Our factories, our farms, our flights, all are new volcanoes, breathing carbon into the air. The question is not whether the planet will endure. It will. But whether we can learn to endure with awareness, not ignorance. If one listens carefully, one can still hear the planet breathing. The rhythm of tides, the cycle of seasons, the pulse of carbon between rock and rain, all continue, ancient and unbroken. Climate change is not the end of that rhythm, but its dissonant note, asking us to retune ourselves. The Earth has survived cataclysms before: asteroid impacts, global ice ages, volcanic winters. Life always found a way, reshaping itself in the echo of disaster. But this time, the consciousness of life, Our consciousness is part of the equation. We can feel the fever. We can measure it. And perhaps we can heal it. The challenge, then, is not to dominate the sky, but to remember it, to live again in rhythm with its breath. When we reduce carbon, replant forests, restore wetlands, or simply choose gentler ways to use energy, we are not saving the planet, we are synchronizing with it. We are remembering that clouds are not decoration, but dialogue. That wind is not mere motion, but message. And so, the story circles back to its beginning. A world of red skies, now blue. The air that once birthed lightning into oceans now carries our own reflections, our voices, our exhaust, our hope. The cycle continues, sky to sea, sea to leaf, leaf to breath, breath to sky. Perhaps one day, millions of years from now, another intelligence will drill into the layers of ice we leave behind and find, trapped within, the trace of this moment, the chemical fingerprint of an age that trembled between forgetting and awakening. They will read it as we read the air of the past, and they will know, once a species lived here that learned to listen to the wind, because weather, in the end, is not separate from consciousness. It is the outer mirror of the inner world, the breath of a planet dreaming of balance. The red sky became blue. The frozen air now melts. The cycle spins onward. And if we learn to breathe with it, slowly, reverently, we may yet remember what the first lightning meant, that energy, once awakened, can also create life. That every storm is a form of renewal. That, to live on Earth, is to live inside a great exhalation, the endless, eternal breath of a world still becoming itself. High above our world, a silent fleet keeps watch. Thousands of weather satellites circle Earth in invisible orbits, scanning the shifting skin of our atmosphere. From the moment the sun rises to the hour it disappears, these mechanical eyes observe everything. The swirl of a cyclone forming over the Pacific, the shimmer of heat rising from the Sahara, the faint spirals of cloud before a storm is even born. Each satellite is both witness and poet, translating the chaos of wind and vapor into streams of data, images, and patterns. They measure temperature, moisture, radiation, and lightning. They pierce the heart of hurricanes, track dust storms as they cross oceans, and monitor every pulse of the planet's weather. In their collective gaze, the entire Earth becomes visible, a breathing sphere wrapped in cloud, alive with motion. Before these watchers existed, storms arrived like surprise symphonies, sudden, magnificent, and cruel. Now, through the patient vigilance of orbiting machines, we glimpse the rhythm before the first note is played. Humanity, for the first time, can listen to the sky in real time. Far below, in rooms cooled by humming turbines, supercomputers translate that vision into prophecy. Inside these vast metallic minds, billions of calculations unfold each second. Temperature, pressure, humidity, ocean currents, all become numbers, dancing in perfect logic. Scientists feed satellite data into their equations, building digital models of Earth that simulate storms before they happen. Within these machines, the future is rehearsed. A cyclone begins as pixels in a simulated ocean. Winds spiral, temperatures shift, and virtual clouds gather. The models show what could happen, a range of possibilities woven by mathematics. Sometimes they are right, sometimes not, but their predictions grow sharper each year. It is a strange kind of time travel, watching tomorrow's weather form today. These models save lives. They give coastal cities hours, even days, to prepare before landfall. They warn farmers when drought will break or when flood will rise. The atmosphere has always spoken. Now we finally understand some of its grammar. Modern forecasting has become one of humanity's quiet triumphs. A century ago, predicting weather was part superstition, Part luck, farmers watched the color of the dawn. Sailors trusted in the rhyme, red sky at night. Today, forecasts read the pulse of the planet. They can predict rainfall down to the hour, trace the twisting path of hurricanes, and even warn of tornadoes minutes before they touch down. What was once folklore has become physics. The instruments we built, satellites, sensors, radars, are our extensions, our senses stretched into the sky. Through them, we no longer wait helplessly beneath clouds. We read them like words. Yet even as precision grows, mystery remains. Weather, for all our intellect, is still a master of surprise. The atmosphere is a living equation, exquisitely sensitive to the smallest change. A pocket of warm seawater, a gust of upper wind, a shift no larger than a butterfly's wing, and the pattern transforms. This is the butterfly effect, the truth that chaos itself is orderly, but beyond prediction. Beyond 7 or 10 days, the map of possibility dissolves. We may know tendencies, but not details. We can see the rhythm, not the melody. And perhaps that is fitting, for if we could predict the sky perfectly, we would lose something essential. The awe of not knowing, the surprise of rain, the relief of wind after heat, the mystery that keeps us humble before the vastness above. Yet even as we build machines to listen to the sky, we are reminded that life has been listening all along. Animals, silent, instinctive, ancient, sense the moods of the air in ways we still cannot. Birds flee before storms, sometimes hours in advance, their wings guided by pressure we cannot feel. Horses and cows grow restless, dogs hide under beds, cats go still and alert. Bees return early to their hives. Ants seal their tunnels before rain. Scientists have measured this. Many creatures detect barometric shifts far subtler than any human device. Their survival once depended on it. Long before meteorologists, farmers read the behavior of their flocks and herds like a living forecast. Today we have satellites, but the natural world still hums with its own kind of wisdom. The animals remain the oldest forecasters, their instincts tuned to the whisper of the air. Perhaps what we call instinct is simply an older form of science, the body's unspoken dialogue with its environment. Even our own bodies, though dulled by comfort and walls, still listen to the atmosphere. Some people feel it in their bones. As pressure drops before a storm, joints swell slightly, fluids shift, and the nervous system records the change. An ache in the knees, a stiffness in the shoulders. These are the body's barometers, small but real. Doctors confirm what grandmothers always knew. Aching bones can forecast rain. In such moments, the human body becomes a weather instrument. Sensitive, imperfect, deeply alive. The same pressure that shapes clouds above shapes us within. Our blood, our breath, our bones all respond to the invisible tides of the sky. It is humbling to realize that we are not observers of weather but participants in it. The pulse we feel is part of the same system that drives the wind. Sometimes, the sky speaks in colors instead of sound. Just before the most violent storms, when the air grows heavy and the horizon shivers, the light may turn an uncanny green. To those who know, this is the omen of a supercell. Clouds swollen with hail, their depths scattering sunlight through water and ice in such a way that green wavelengths dominate. It is the color of suspended energy, the pause before release, the breath before the roar. Farmers and storm chasers alike know that shade of green, not the color of life, but of tension. The sky itself glows with warning, like the heartbeat of the storm, visible through its skin. To see that light is to feel weather not as data, but as presence. A reminder that even as we model the air with equations, the true experience of it remains profoundly human, sensory, emotional, ancient. And perhaps that is where all these threads meet. The machines that watch from orbit, the supercomputers that dream in numbers, the animals that tremble before thunder, the ache that blooms in our bones, all are part of one continuum, the intelligence of the atmosphere expressed through different forms of awareness. Satellites translate it into pixels, bees translate it into behavior, humans translate it into feeling. The sky speaks many languages, and we are only beginning to hear them all at once. Forecasting, in this sense, is not merely science but communion. It is our attempt to listen with both mind and heart, to bridge the technological and the instinctual, to join our satellites and our senses into one understanding. For the sky is not separate from us. It moves through us, shapes us, remembers us. Whether through code, instinct, or intuition, every living being feels its touch. And when the air grows still before a storm, whether measured by a satellite or felt in a trembling leaf, the message is the same. The planet is alive. It breathes, it warns, it teaches. We do not conquer the weather, we converse with it. And in that dialogue, between chaos and comprehension, between machine and instinct, we find something profound. The realization that knowing the sky has never been about control, but about belonging. The weather, it has always been more than mere wind and rain. It is the heartbeat of the earth, pulsing softly beneath every sunrise, whispering through every leaf, sculpting every grain of sand. From the quiet dew on a morning field to the furious eye of a typhoon, every breath of air carries the memory of time. Long before words, before science, before humankind ever named the clouds, the atmosphere was already speaking, telling stories of birth and decay, of warmth and silence, of light scattering through infinity. It is both chaos and harmony, both artist and witness. In its endless dance, we see the planet think, feel, and remember. To study weather is to study life itself, motion, impermanence, and renewal. Each droplet that falls has traveled through oceans and sky, through ages and atoms. The air you breathe tonight once drifted above ancient forests, once cooled the wings of creatures long gone. Every gust of wind is a bridge between what was and what will be. And though we measure it now with satellites and numbers, the truth remains simple. The weather is not outside us. It is within us. Our lungs mirror its rhythm. Our hearts echo its pulse. We rise and fall with the pressure of the world, warm with its sunlight, shiver with its storms. The same breath that moves clouds also moves the soul. So tonight, let go. Let the wind lull you into calmness. Let the distant thunder become your lullaby. The sky is still breathing above you, steady, patient, eternal. Even in darkness, it watches with quiet light, turning chaos into song. Close your eyes and imagine the great currents of air flowing across continents. The tides folding into moonlight, the hush of snow settling on mountain peaks. All of it continues, endlessly. Whether we listen or not, the earth does not need an audience. It only needs to be felt. As you rest, know this: the same rhythm that stirs the clouds also guides your dreams. The same warmth that moves through sunlight moves through your chest. You are part of the planet's long inhale and exhale, a momentary note in its ancient breath. So breathe slowly. Drift with the clouds. Let thought dissolve like mist at dawn. For tonight, the storms will rest, the oceans will sleep, and the wind will carry you home. Thank you for joining me beneath the sky. May your dreams drift like clouds, gentle and unhurried. And when you wake, may you remember that the sky above and the sky within have always been one and the same.